So, I recently gave myself some advice that, if I do say so myself, was very good. So good, in fact, that I was like, we must go share this on the pod. So, y'all, let's get into it. This is Looking for My Fit.
Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah. Looking for my fit, looking for my fit, yeah.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Looking for My Fit podcast. My name is Jamika, and I am so happy that you are here. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. I appreciate that you continue to tune in and listen every time a new episode comes out. And if you are new here, welcome. I hope that you'll enjoy the episode and that at the end, you'll decide to hit subscribe or follow wherever you are listening to this. And actually, I want to talk a little bit more in depth about you all at the end of this. So we'll get to that at the end. But y'all, let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm not going to make y'all hold on long to figure out what this advice is, because some of you may need it right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the advice, and then we're going to move backwards, and then we'll talk about how I got to this point. What made me come, how did I come up with this? The advice is get out of your feelings and get into your purpose. Feel like a preacher. Again, get out of your feelings and get into your purpose. Amen. Amen. Okay, y'all. So if you listen regularly, then you know I've been MIA for a second. And that is because I was feeling overwhelmed. And overwhelmed doesn't always equate with bad things. I've been overwhelmed with things that, they aren't bad. They're good things. With decisions. I've been trying to make decisions, trying to decide which things I should move forward with. Now, I know this kind of goes against the other episode that I had that I was talking about focus on you now and not your next. However, two things can be true, meaning I can be present and focus on everything that I have going on around me, which I have been. But I can also be like, feel that tug, y'all. Y'all know I'm all about that tug, that discernment. Like, it is now time for you to make that shift, right? And so I've been trying to figure out what it is that I'm shifting to. And, you know, again, if you are just now listening, go back. You should just go back and listen to the whole thing. Go back and listen to all the episodes. I did this the other day and I was like, man, like what? There's been some growth from the first episode to now, especially like with the audio and just the changing of the music and stuff. But anyway, go and get caught up and then you'll hear where I am. But I've been studying the Bible and, I read it once before. And by the time I got to the end, I did not remember what I had read. And I'm telling you, sitting in church listening to stories, really being like, well, I don't remember this. Lord, I'm sure I read the whole thing, but when did this happen? So now I was like, okay, let's go back and let's dig a little bit deeper. Now, let's not just rush through and read it to be reading. Like, let's really get in and study. So I've been enjoying doing that. And in one of the episodes, I talk more extensively about it. And I even have some details written in the show notes that share some of the things and the resources that I've been using as I study. But in studying and doing that, I was like, well, Lord, if you could just really speak to me somehow, help me to know which one of these things should I be shifting to. I'm not asking for much. If you could just, write it on a sheet of paper. If you could just jot this down for me, if you could give me very clear directions in a dream, if you could just do that for me, I could then move forward. But y'all know it doesn't necessarily work like that all the time. And so I've just been, again, trying to figure out, well, what's the most important thing that I should be focusing on now? And to be completely real, the level of importance and how I'm ranking these things in importance fluctuates depending on how I'm feeling each day. So one day I'll feel like, you know what, this is definitely the thing that I should put my focus on. I should move forward and try doing this. Or the next day I could be like, that was dumb. I think I should focus on this. And it's just going back and forth. What happens with that? Sometimes we can have so many things that we're focusing on that instead of, you know, trying something, we get stuck. So you have all these things that you could be doing, but you end up doing nothing because you feel stuck and stagnant. Like you just can't figure out which thing you should move towards. So it's easier for you just not to move towards anything. So as I'm, in my prayer all the time, y'all, I'm just like, Lord, whoa, your girl is struggling. If we can get a clear path here, Lord, I know how you work. I know you usually give me lessons. Are there tools in my toolbox that I can use for this situation? Lo and behold, there was a tool. And it was a very full circle moment for me. Okay. So one day I am driving and I come to a stop at a stoplight. And at this particular stoplight, I can see that there's like a new neighborhood that is being built. And so it's going to be a brand new development. And I'm looking at, all the things that they're already even building up around this neighborhood. And I'm looking at these houses that are being built. And it brought to mind a lesson that I used to teach to my students when I was teaching middle school. So I used to be a middle school English teacher or language arts, just depending on where you are. But I used to teach English. And there was this one lesson that I used to teach every year. Okay. So I'm going to give you a breakdown of what that lesson was and tell you how I ended up coming to the advice that I shared earlier. So I used to read this short story to my students called The House. And y'all, after I said it that stoplight, I thought about it. I came home, I looked it up, I found the story. And I was like, oh, good, because I can have like a good refresher. So it was a short story about these two boys named Pete and Mark who are skipping school and going to Pete's house. Okay. Now, when I would start this lesson, I would tell my students they would have a pencil and they would have two highlighters on their desk, and they would also have their own copy of this paper. Old school. I know they use computers now, but okay, this is what we were doing. And so I was like, listen, I'm going to read this short story out loud to you. And as I'm reading this, I want you to take your pencil and I want you to underline all of the important details. Okay. So I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to give you a breakdown of the details and information that was given in this short story. So again, we got my boy Pete, we got my boy Mark. Now, they are skipping school on a Thursday, and they've chosen to skip school on Thursday because Pete's mom is never home on Thursdays. And when they get to the house, Pete is giving Mark the full breakdown of the house. So as they come up to the house, we learn that the lawn is finely landscaped, that there are tall hedges that are blocking the house from being seen from the road, and that they don't really have any close neighbors. The closest neighbor is about a quarter mile away. Pete is sharing that they have recently done some new things to the school. So first of all, he's saying today's a great day for us to skip because my mom is never home on Thursdays. Two, Mark is commenting like, yo, this is a nice crib. And Peter's like, thank you. Appreciate that, bro. My dad's been doing some work. We have new siding on the house, also a new fireplace. And they go inside and he turns on this music that's real loud. And Mark is like, yo, we gonna get busted. And that's when Pete tells him, like, nah, bro, you ain't got to worry about that. Our closest neighbor is like a quarter mile away from us. Also, they came in through the side door, which is unlocked. And Pete says, well, we always leave this door unlocked in case my sisters get home before my dad does in the afternoons. And as they're walking in, they pass some 10-speed bicycles, excuse me, that are there. And hold on, let me clear my voice up. We got to hear the story. Okay. So they pass the 10-speed bicycles coming in, and then they go into the house, and Pete is sharing that they just repainted everywhere in the house, and they also added a new addition to the house, which was another bathroom. And he was excited about that because he didn't have to share the bathroom with his sister anymore. And he also had a very large TV in his room. He was also took Mark and showed him where his dad kept all of his fine collectibles and said, yo, anytime I want to get something, like if I need to run to the store, my dad keeps a whole lot of money in his drawer. So I just come down here, take out the money like I need to. Also, check out my mom's closet. This thing is big. Also, look at all these furs she has. And right here, this box right here, this is her jewelry box. That's where she keeps all of her jewels locked up. And so as Mark is admiring the house, he's like, let's go down to the basement. Pete's like, nah, man, because the basement's been smelling real musty. Some kind of leak is going on down there. And also, if you notice up here at the top, we also have a leak up here in the roof. Okay. So I gave you the breakdown. That's pretty much what's in there. Like, it's not a huge plot twist or anything. That's the story. So again, I've told my students, take a pencil and underline what's important. So when I would ask them, so share with me what you underline. Well, the things that they underline would vary. And it would just depend on their personal feelings. So they would be like, well, um, I like riding bikes. And they have 3 bikes. So it's very important to me. Also, they thought that if I wanted to skip school, I too would pick a day when my mom wasn't there. That was an important detail to me. You got to know the routine, you got to know the schedule. Okay. Um, they were also saying like sometimes you can your neighbors can tell on you, they be snitching on you. Like, hey, look, the neighbors ain't even close, so you can skip school and there wouldn't be anybody there to see you. Some others were focusing on the fact that they had this, like, they were like, well, there's a sound system. So, it just varied. And some of them were kind of like, man, it was kind of hard for me to pick out. So if you look on my paper, almost the whole thing is underlined. Okay. So then I would say, okay, that's good. Now I want you to pick up one of your highlighters, and the highlighters will be 2 different colors. So just choose one. And what I want you to do now is I want you to now go back through and read this, and I want you to highlight every detail that would be important to a potential home buyer, someone who was looking to buy this home. What would be important? Y'all, they would pick up those highlighters, they would get to work. I would see them moving, and it would be like, it was almost like a light bulb coming, like, oh, can pick that out. So when we discuss what's important to someone who may be looking to buy this, they're like, well, they have a really nice lawn. They have privacy for 2 reasons. One, there are hedges that are blocking the house. 2, the neighbors are at least a quarter mile away, so nobody's sitting right there on them. They have put on new siding. They have a new fireplace. They have recently painted, but also the basement is musty. That's not good. And there is a leak in the roof. Those are things that they would care about. And then they also point out the fact that there is a basement. So they were able to pick that out. So then I would say, okay, great job. Now let's pick up the other highlighter. And I want you to go through and I want you to highlight all the details that would be important if somebody was looking to case this joint. If they were looking to rob, somebody was like, hey, look, I'm going up in there. Which details would be important to them? Here's what they came back with. 1, Thursday is the day you want to do it. Mom is not home. 2, great pick because you can't see the house. The hedges covering it from the road. Neighbors are far away. Nobody will see you go in. 3rd thing, you don't even have to like break in because the door is open. They keep that door open on the side. You also know where dad keeps his collectibles. You know that he has a drawer full of money. You know that mom has furs. You know that she has a lockbox with her jewels in it. And you also know that there is a large TV in Pete's room. They picked that out like that. It was super quick. And the lesson that I was teaching them is that it is easy to pick out what is important when you know your purpose. Wait. It is easy to pick out what's important when you know the purpose. So when I just give it to you, broad, and say, look, pick out what's important, and I'm not giving you any focus and there is no purpose in what it is that you're doing, everything can look important. And the things that you do pick out are based on your feelings. But when there is purpose, it is so easy to pick out the things that are important. It helps you to eliminate those things that really don't matter. And y'all, I said, Lord, look at what you put in my toolbox. I taught that lesson for years. That lesson has always stuck with me. And I was using that as a way to teach my students the importance of setting a purpose for reading, because you have some students who like, I don't want to read this. I don't like this. But when you set a purpose for reading, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable and it gives you something to focus on. I thought I was just teaching my kids, how to set themselves up for success when they're reading. And God was like, "Oh, but this is going to come back full circle for you, and it's going to help you to have some success in life." And so that's when I said, "Girl, these decisions that you have been trying to make have been based solely off your feelings. So there are times when some things seem more important than others, and there are days when all the things feel important to you. But now you need to focus on your purpose. What is the calling that God has on your life? What what is it that God is calling you to do? What is the purpose of the gift that God has blessed you with? And when you know what your purpose is, there are several things that you have been debating over that can immediately be removed from that list. They aren't even contenders. Y'all, my mind was blown. And so now, guess what? I'm not feeling as overwhelmed. I have two possible things that I can now move forward on because they are aligned with what it is that I'm called to do. And now that I only have two, I can really zone in. Now I can do proper research. Now I can ask certain questions. Now I can see, is this a fit for me? Because I'm not trying to focus on a million different things. So if you are in a space where you feel like you don't know what to do and you feel like there are so many things that you could be doing, and part of you feels like you should be doing them all, focus on what your purpose is. Because when you do that, it allows you to take things off your plate and put the focus where it needs to be. So, again, if you're feeling stuck and you don't know what to do, it's time to get out of your feelings and time to get into your purpose. Come on, snap your fingers, y'all. Snap your fingers. I'm feeling good. I really am. I I had just been in a like I don't know what to do. And now I'm like, yo, it's not about your feelings, it's about your purpose. And I feel a lot more confident about the things that I want to move forward because they're aligned with what it is that God has called me to do. So I hope that if anyone is in that space, that this gives you the aha moment that it gave to me. All right, y'all. Now, before we go, there are two, may lead into three things that I want to share. One, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see, well, let's start with this. If you're watching on YouTube, if you only ever watch on YouTube, you have absolutely missed episodes. I put stuff up on YouTube, and I'm just not consistent with putting things up there. And there's sometimes when I record podcasts and it is audio only because sometimes I be looking ragged. And I'm like, this will not be out on the internet for anybody to be seeing. So, if I happen to have myself halfway together, I'll post it on YouTube. And if not, it goes audio only. So if you are watching on YouTube and you're like, I'm feeling a little bit lost because I don't know everything that you're talking about, then just go to your favorite podcast platform, search Looking for My Fit, and you can get caught up. There are, I think this will be episode number 74 or 75, one of the two. And I do not have that many videos up on YouTube. So make sure that you go and get caught up on the episodes. Two, if you're looking on YouTube, then you can see this hoodie I have. Let me move to the side. And if you're not watching, let me describe it to you. It's a black hoodie and it says Dope Chicken Fly Kicks. And this is made by my homegirl Janine, who has a fashion line called Fashionably, a clothing line for like athletic wear, athleisure, called Fashionably Fit. Well, and it's black and it has the words written in red. She saw a post that I put up on Instagram where I was celebrating the fact that this podcast has over 10,000 downloads. Yeah, yay. Y'all, what a huge celebration. I'm coming back to that in a second. So she saw it, and in that video, I had on some black, red, and white Jordans. And so she was like, girl, so proud of you. Also, I have a hoodie that would be perfect for that. I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna give you one of these hoodies. So she gave me this hoodie, and I love it. And I had it on recently, and I got compliments because I wore it with the J's. And I got compliments on both. They're like, "Oh, those shoes are dope," and got the hoodie to go with it. That's dope. I'm like, "That's my girl, fashionably fit. Look her up." So thanks, Janine, for this. I also wanted to say thank you, the listeners, for continuing to tune in, y'all. I don't do a great job of promoting this podcast. I don't. That is one of the things that I want to get better with over the, throughout this year. I want to get more consistent and really find a schedule that works for me so that I can consistently put these episodes out. I do want to put more focus here and just do more interaction on Instagram and putting out clips and, hoping that the podcast finds the people who need it, So I'm hoping it's having a great impact. But the fact that I was able to hit 10,000 downloads when I don't really promote it was mind blowing to me. Not only that, we on up over the 10. We can cross on over past 11,000 now. So at the time when I put that out, 10,000. Now we on over 11,000. And I'm excited about it. So thank you. Every time I get an opportunity to look at the metrics, my mind is blown to see all of these cities across the United States where people are listening, cities I've never even heard of, and not only cities across the US, but to see people in different countries, and not just people in different countries, but to see people in different countries tuning in consistently. If you're in Germany, shout out to Germany. I have a lot of downloads in Germany. I'll pull up the metrics one day and give a shout out to everybody, but just to see that happening consistently is just so mind-blowing to me. And again, seeing cities that I have heard of and those that I haven't, but being like, I don't even know people in these cities. And to see that the podcast is being downloaded there is just it's I don't know. It puts a huge smile on my face, and I am just so grateful. So thank you to all of you who listen regularly, to those of you who share the podcast with family and friends, so that they can listen. I'm excited, and I know there are some podcasts that are really huge and they have millions of downloads, but guess what? You got to get to 10,000 before you get to 10 million. So y'all, we are on our way to growing this thing, and I'm super excited. And I just wanted to take the time to say thank you for that. All right, y'all. This has been great. And I will again, part of my focus for this year will be being more consistent and having a day when you know that this podcast is coming out. But in the meantime, thank you for subscribing and continuing to listen when the episodes do come out. It means more to me than you know. And I hope that, it has a positive impact on your life. And that's why you continue to tune in. So before I go, let me give you that advice one more time. Go ahead, get out of your feelings and get into your purpose. Y'all, we have work to do. So it's time for us to get out there and get busy. All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Bye. Listen, I can't have you all missing out on episodes. I appreciate you all being here, and I want you to stay here. So before you leave, go ahead, click that subscribe button so you'll be the first to know when the next episode drops. I'll see y'all then. Looking for my fit is what I do. Looking for my fit, looking for